So, good afternoon and welcome. Very, very warm welcome. My name is Meghna, and I'm the Chief Marketing Officer at AvantNow. And I'll be moderating this webinar for the next hour or so. And the topic, as you all can see, is using AI in ServiceNow GRC to catch the emerging risk. And we're trying to say, let the agent find it first before we actually face the problem and the repercussions. So, this is the context of the webinar. In the next 1 hour, I promise you today that if your risk and compliance function is actually still, it's still about finding out the problems have happened, and after that you realize that there's a problem. After the audit, you realize there's a problem, or there's a failure in control, or there's a vendor breach. Then this session is exactly for you. And we're not just going to talk about ServiceNow, but we're going to talk about what is most relevant today as how AI is genuinely changing the risk, catching capacity. And here we are not talking about AI as a buzzword, something that is on a brochure. We are talking about how AI can detect, decide, and act. So that's what the webinar is going to be about. Just a few housekeeping notes for all of us that please feel free. Yeah. I'll request everybody to go on mute. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Shri. So just a simple housekeeping rule. Everybody can stay mute, but you can, if you're interested to ask a question, please don't save them for the end. I'll be watching the chat box. So just go on punching your questions, and if they're relevant, I'll take them in between. And otherwise, we have saved some time at the end. We have some great panelists here. So we will be shooting all these questions to the panelists. So keep them flowing, keep adding the questions in the chat box, and I'm watching them for sure. You'll also get a recording and all the slides at the end of the session. We'll be emailing it to you. Our team will be emailing it to you. And so you can just listen carefully. You need not make notes. So here we are. And let me introduce you to the panel now. Next. Can you show the next slide, Nishant, Anisha? Okay, before that, maybe let me share the agenda, yeah, because all of you are giving us your time, 1 hour. I'm going to briefly touch upon this. We going to be talking about the GRC reality check. We'll be talking about AI agents in this and what's coming new. And we'll be also talking about some case studies, which is going to be real life. So you know that what we are saying has actually been implemented and done in practice. And as I said, we will be talking about the Q&A. And finally, I'm happy to introduce our panel to you. We have Aditya Garg. Aditya is the founder and CEO of AvantNow, and his career has scaled, many decades. He's he's a very, very seasoned leader in the field of not only ServiceNow, but Agile and DevOps, and he's led a lot of digital transformation projects with global experience, not only in India, but US, Europe, and you name it. He's co-authored books and done a lot of high-performing technology practice, mastered a lot of technological practices. He's a very passionate advocate of community-driven learning and innovation. Thank you so much, Adi. We call him Adi fondly. Thank you so much, Adi, for joining.
It's my pleasure to be part of this wonderful, very contemporary webinar, and I'm glad to be participating. And thank you so much for all the kind words. I would try to bring in my experience to best of my abilities, but I understand that there are other lead architects and solution architects participating. Looking forward for their insight as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. So with Adi, we also have Prabhu. Prabhu is a ServiceNow lead architect, and he has a lot of experience in GRC. And he's already told me, Meghna, stop calling it GRC, it has to be IRM. And he'll tell us more about this. So I've already started learning before the webinar even started. So he'll be talking about a GRC or stroke IRM, the platform design, how AI is integrated into it, and how the enterprise grade transformations or implementations are done. So he is a man. All of you, please be very attentive to what Prabhu has to share. It's difficult to get his time since he's very busy. So here we have him. He's a lead architect, as I said, and he's worked hands-on on the Now platform. So keep all your questions ready. Thank you, Prabhu, for joining. You want to say a quick hello?
Yeah, hello everyone. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening from wherever you are joining to the webinar. And happy to be here as a panelist. Thanks, Meghna. As you said, right, it's really important for all the leaders and all the people who are working in tech industry nowadays to understand how we can mitigate the risk, and we will definitely talk about more in the upcoming slides, and some after some time, how we can use AI, because AI is not just a buzzword anymore. Now it's already happening everywhere, every corner of the organization. So let's understand how ServiceNow IRM module can help you to mitigate the risks.
Absolutely. Great to have you, Prabhu. Thank you again for your time. And then we have Gaurav, and Gaurav is the solution architect, again a specialist in ServiceNow, and his specialization has extended to all the ServiceNow products. He has already worked on Now Assist, the Gen AI. He's worked on Claude integrations, and also already worked on custom AI application development. So here we have people who have not just scaled the theory part of it, they are actually on the ground working on such projects and implemented these projects. So these are the men, it's dominated by men today. So these are the men who are going to be answering all the questions that we have and help us to scale ServiceNow very well and to catch the emerging risk. So before we begin the conversation, I'm going to quickly ask you in the
Before Meghna gets into
yeah.
asking something, even though it's three men panel here, but Meghna, she is our chief marketing officer. She is a very seasoned professional, and she would be heavier than all of us in terms of insights and all. So it's not one sided; it's equal, I would say, with that respect. She comes with a very strong marketing strategy experience with 20 plus years of experience, not only in the tech industry, but in FMCG, and she has got great consulting mindset. So thank you, Meghna, for moderating this session for us. You can go ahead.
Thank you, Adi. That's very kind of you to say such wonderful words. And as you said, we are all diverse and growing organization. So all the people who are here, all our participants, firstly, thank you. If you want to quickly share a little bit about what your current methods for catching emerging risk are you still on to manual reviews or spreadsheets? Are you talking about rule-based alerts or thresholds? If you want to quickly on the chat box, just put on how you're actually catching this risk. Is there some AI already or some automation already in place in your companies? I mean, is that something that you would like to share a little bit? I'll be happy to see that. And meanwhile, you keep on sharing this. I'm going to go to Gaurav first, actually. So, Gaurav, my first question is to you. And there are some numbers that I saw about the governance, risk, and compliance, the pressure it's been facing. I mean, I'll hand it over to you to take us through this alarming numbers and what this data is actually meaning. I don't there are numbers on the screen already, but can you actually walk us through and help us understand as to where GRC currently is? So over to you, Gaurav. That's the first slide we want you to take us through.
Yeah, thanks, Meghna, and welcome on board, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and thanks for joining in for this webinar. So, as the slide is stating the state of GRC today, and the idea behind this webinar, what we're doing is to how we can, move from traditional approach to using AI and the AI insights, and to help us save our time, efforts, and on top of that, to have a particular well-defined risk assessment and controls in place. So as of now, the state of GRC if we'll talk about, so as the numbers are saying, like 73% of compliance teams still respond to the incident after the occur. So what's happening following the traditional approach? So sometimes when uh, a risk or a threat, let's say a team is reporting, and the reason which is not well defined why it is occurring, and what's the reason behind it or what's causing these things, so it is not defined by the teams to their further levels, like what we are up to, means they
Mhm.
are following, we can say, the basic mechanism. They are reporting it in forms of incident. They are following the mechanism to report it through email, spreadsheets, or they are doing the evidence collection, but it's not in and automated manner where we could have a better control of that. And how it impacts basically when it comes to your higher management and the leadership team, or the team who is specifically working on managing this risk and doing the actual assessment. So if they are not getting well defined information to them, then definitely when they are defining controls to manage those risks, that would also be not in the specific manner. So that is how it is time consuming, where we not have AI insights, or the modern techniques what ServiceNow capabilities is providing. So that's what where the traditional report is lacking. And
Okay.
we'll cover this in further slides, like how we can automate this, and what's like the process behind this.
Right. Let's sit over the previous slide. I think where I wanted to, Adi, I would bring you in here. I mean, Gartner is saying that 73% compliance team are still, they are waiting for the incidents to happen and then they respond. There's a 45 days. I mean, you as a CEO, as a leader, as a visionary, how do you describe what's happening here? I mean, I want to understand the why. We have already seen what is happening. These numbers, as per Gartner and IBM, data and Deloitte risk report, the numbers are in front of all of us. The numbers are there, so we know what is happening. Can I come to you and ask you as a leader, why is this happening? Why are the risk teams always under this pressure? And what has changed in the last 2 years that it makes it so much more harder? So can you throw some light on this, please?
Sure, sure, Meghna. Very interesting question you have asked, especially connecting to this slide, and especially when you ask that has something changed in last 2 years? There are few things which I have observed. Number one, look, there are a lot of these third-party utilities, tools, vendors that
Hmm.
every organizations are trying to use. It can be a cloud provider, it can be basically some AI tool, for example, it can be any other basically services organization or third party, anything. When you talk about basically the risk surface, so what has happened in last 2 3 years is that the risk surface has exploded. So it's not one single vendor or few vendors. It's all about using some third party tools, third party vendors, and the risk surface has become much larger. When I say exploded, in last 2 years, the usage of these third party tools, technologies, platforms, vendors, skills, this has basically become very wide. So when you have an exposure that is larger, the risk also increases substantially. It is exponential. Now, what
True.
happens is that if I'm using a vendor and the vendors basically a risk becomes a risk for the vendor, imagine what can it happen to you, right? So the first point where the last 2 years basically increases the pressure. Can we just remain on the previous one? Okay, I'll come back to the next slide. So the whole idea is that this particular issue about the risk exposure become larger has increased the pressure. Okay. Point number
True.
two, which is very relevant, is that there are these regulatory frameworks which are there, and there are new regulatory frameworks which are basically coming up. We might have heard about DORA, which is EU's Digital Operational Resilience Act, or NIS2, which is EU's Network and Information Security Directive, or the ESG, which is Environmental, Social, and Governance, basically. That is also evolving. And there are new AI governance regimes. They are talking about basically having something which they say, I need to know now. I don't need to know at your regulatory things, which is 2 months back. We want to do it
Hmm.
now. So the pressure is not only about the increased surface areas or increased risk items, the pressure is also about the timeline. How fast can you quickly show it to the regulatory bodies? And the third, forget about the regulatory bodies, the board itself. If we talk about the
True.
board, the internal regulators are one, external regulators are one, but the board, the internal team, they also want it to be done faster. Okay. The whole idea is that how quickly can you tell me what is going wrong? So the pressure is
True.
threefold. One, the risk area has increased. Number two, the compliances, regulations, and the frameworks, which basically the demands are increasing, not only are old, but there are new things getting added, new regulations are coming up, right? And that also needs faster resolution times. And third, your internal board members also want this. So that's where the things have changed. And that's where this 45-day plan fails, right? So did I answer your question?
Yes, very well. Of course, as a leader, I think you shows us the bird's eye view very well.
Yeah, so we can now move to the next slide. I'll probably like to take that up. Thanks. So look, these are the 6 pain points. I would like to club them in 3 buckets.
Okay.
If you want to look at fragmented risk and policy silos, they fall into visibility area. Okay. When I say
Okay.
visibility, okay, visibility is your dashboards. Okay, what exactly can basically happen there? So, for example, the risk registers, there are different tools. Like when we say fragmented risk, the risk can be coming in from different tools, different areas, different teams. These are data available in different systems, right? These are fragmented. The visibility is also fragmented. And if you look at the third point, which is the policy silos, the people who are controlling and the policy may get changed, but the controlling mechanism basically is looking at the older policy. So when a policy changes, does your tool reflect that immediately? So the visibility is not real time. Visibility may be, first of all, fragmented, siloed, and the decision making is basically happening individually. So that is giving you a visibility which is not giving you a bigger picture. When the bigger picture is missing, the decision is missing, the visibility is missing, that becomes your first pain point. Okay. Second pain point that I would like to talk about is very interesting again. It's the time problem. Okay. When we talk about time problem, these are the two things, which is manual control, okay, which is in the middle that you see the box, and then no
Control system.
predictive signals. So when I talk about manual controls, what happens here? So when you talk about people doing it, and when you look at basically there is a testing or the controlling team which basically can audit. So it's all about basically doing something which they can control over a period of time. So there's a timing problem. When did they last see it? And there is a threshold. So even if you look at the way things are, even if you define certain automation rules, even if you put in certain thresholds, they will only trigger when there is a certain threshold which kicks in, right? Even in the manual control testing, compliance team run some reviews. Let's say they reviewed it 2 months back and they review it again after 2 months. There could be certain gaps, right? So this is where the time gaps happen. The risk
The
which
admin can
occurred.
mute everybody.
Yeah,
Yeah.
request
Go on,
everybody. So
sorry.
the second biggest pain point that I see is that people reviewing it don't do it continuously, and the thresholds don't kick in immediately. So there is a gap between when the risk occurred and when the actions can be taken, or when the risk basically occurred and when actually it happens, or basically the signs that are visible, we don't act on time. So that creates a bigger problem. Okay. Third is
Yeah.
basically the last 2 points, which are audit fatigue and vendor blind spots. So here what happens is that we are always working about finding things out, okay, closing the audit review points. So your best brains, the risk team, the audit team, is just worrying about closing the audit gaps. Their main task is, these audit findings are there, can we close, can we close. So best brains are spending times on closing things out, and then it results into audit fatigue. So they don't spend proactively on things which they can solve. It's something which has happened retrospectively, something happened in the past, and they are trying to fix that. That doesn't help. It actually gives the best of the brains to work on something which probably they don't want to do it. It's the compliance that they want to fill out the gaps. And then there is vendor blind spots. I talked about third party risks.
True.
Your vendors, obviously, let's take an example. When we onboard a vendor, we do certain risk assessment, and then the next risk assessment doesn't happen in time. So uh, it can be anything. So look at the problem. We did analyze the vendor, and then after 10 months, we don't know whether their vendors basically have a problem, and then that vendor basically is into an issue. So again, all these things basically cause a bigger point where we say there's nothing wrong. So from a risk assessment point of view, from the risk team point of view, things are all good. And these things basically don't give you the value that you're looking at. All these things are basically siloed. So these are basically, we are talking about something, and I'm going to basically say something here, that they are 6 symptoms of one condition. The
Yeah.
risk management is there, but it is fragmented. It is periodic, which means it is not continuous. And third, it is reactive, which means if it happened, then we can act on it. So the problem here that we're talking about is that these are not 6 separate problems needing different tools. Okay. These are actually, and the idea is that we don't need so many things. We need them, but we need a consolidated one solution to solve that. Okay. That's where, yeah, I can ask somebody else to continue. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we could go on and on hearing you, Adi. You put it in a very beautiful perspective. And I'm going to, before I bring in Prabhu, I think I'm going to go back to Gaurav once again. Gaurav, you started talking about the risk and what is happening in the industry. And Adi, as he explained the pain points very well, could you help our audience understand this in a little deeper way as to how this journey is broken, because you already started speaking on this. That's why I'm coming back to you. Prabhu, give me a moment. I'm going to come to you next. So, Gaurav, over to you now.
Yes, so thanks Adi for explaining that in a very brief manner. So as Adi explained, the real value behind moving from traditional approach to using AI in GRC in the IRM, it is not about just where we are just automating task and activity. It is where we are kind of eliminating delays. What happens between the traditional approaches and the task and activities. And once we are moving from traditional to the AI approach, so it will help faster detection and the faster decision making also, right? So as the slide we can see on the screen, so this is like the we can say the broken risk journey, or the steps most of the organization or the people follows while using the traditional approach, where as we discussed earlier also. So once any vulnerability, a change, a failed control, or any finding is there, right? So it got captured in the form of spreadsheets, email, or any manual system, right? And then what happened? So it is not kind of getting noticed immediately, because there is no AI workflows to send it further for the immediate action. So how it behaves basically, it will wait when someone notice it from the concerned team, then they'll review it, and then they'll take some time to decide. And then, because the AI insights and the information on that particular issue is not there, so still they'll get confused at certain level to which concerned team we should send it to, and which team should get notified, right? So this manual uh, assessment of the reported risk or failed control or finding, which results in doing a different delays at different steps, right? And that is causing a kind of a hidden cost, we can say, because it is consuming a time or efforts. At the same time, we are not able to kind of assess the risk and fix it real quick. So that's what it is happening with this particular approach. And at the end, what's happening, it will get closed even through emails or the documentation itself. So for future also, there will be no specific track, like what was happened, why that thing got happened. And with the AI on the other side, we'll definitely have a system in place which will help us in future also, like this was happened and this would be the way to fix it properly.
Right. So here, Prabhu, I'm going to come to you. As Gaurav and Adi have been already talking about the risk and we've understood the process, I want to delve a little deeper and ask you from an architecture standpoint. I can see this reds, right? From the step 2 to 4, we are seeing the damage is actually compounding. For whatever reasons, the number of weeks are picking up and there's a little compound effect which is coming in. Why do you think this is happening? And do you think it's a people problem, or do you think it's a process problem, or is there something structural which is missing? Can you throw some light on this, Prabhu?
Yeah. So thanks, Meghna. And as correctly pointed out by Gaurav, right? And also what Adi has explained earlier. So important thing for most of us to understand here, and I am sure that the people who are joined today this webinar are facing the same challenges what we saw on the slide in the GRC broken risk journey, right? From 2 to 4, those are the real pain point. And I can say this very confidently that you are not the only one who is facing this challenge. Yeah? we have worked with multiple organizations who are facing really the same challenge, from identifying the risk till reassessment, doing it manually. Yeah. And a lot of time it happens that, okay, whenever we identify the risk, it falls into certain, it get assigned to someone, which is like, again, or there are a lot of burden, lot of activities, lot of tasks with this team, and then this particular risk which got notified get lost in their mailboxes. Yeah. And they cannot focus on it quickly. Again, sometimes it get notified to a wrong team, which again adds up the time to identify and to move ahead with that particular risk assessment. And manual assessment, right? This is what a lot of organization at this moment is doing. And I would say the challenge here, what we have seen so far when we work with the multiple companies in the past, that it's not only the people problem. It's a combined effect of people problem, the technology, and the tools what they are using. Yeah. So we always tell to our customer that don't look at this whole process just as a tool can fix it. You need to bring a right tool, you need to set up the right process. At the same time, you need to upskill your people to understand where they should focus. And in this particular juncture, AI can be really helpful. Yeah. So that we can bring AI to help to do the jobs or tasks which are really small scale tasks which can be done by AI, and let your people, let your team to focus on really important tasks in their work life, right? And that's where, and thanks for bringing the next slide. What ServiceNow has done in recently, they have brought in an AI agent in IRM as well. And I would say that when we call it as IRM, right, as Meghna mentioned from the start, GRC, when we talk about GRC, it aligns corporate strategy with the regular requirements, right? But in recent time, what Gartner also termed this as a newly now IRM, which is called integrated risk management. It is a modern evaluation of GRC that embeds your risk awareness across all the departments. So it's not now stuck with your strategy department that they need to take action on your risk, or they need to there it is getting only assigned to a specific team. No, integrated risk management is has to be done by throughout your organization. All the businesses, all the departments, they are treating this risk as one team rather than really finding these risks and doing something with it, an isolated compliance task. And
Yeah.
that's where ServiceNow bring this AI agent, which is called a risk as just give me a risk suggestion AI agent from the IRM. We'll talk more about it, how it can help in the upcoming slides as well. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe before that, I mean, before we deep dive into understanding the ServiceNow IRM and AI empowered tools, Adi, I'm going to come back to you. I want to understand, I mean, you mentioned about the boardroom and the internal stakeholders, managing the risk, minimizing the risk. For a chief risk officer, if that's a role company people, companies designate officers to, if they're operating without an integrated system, what's the honest consequence? As a leader, as a visionary, I would like come to, to you with an answer, that do you think that uh, what should be keeping that person awake, if I can simply put it across?
Yeah, I think you put all the difficult questions for me, Meg. But again, it's a very interesting and I can give you insight. So again, look at the rules. We talk about CFOs. Now we have got CMOs like Meghna on the marketing side. The CRO role has become extremely important. Chief Risk Officer, right? So, and when we talk about an integrated platform, what Meghna you asked, uh, why does it make sense for somebody at that level who's managing risk for an enterprise or a larger organization, even for smaller, that doesn't matter. As a
Hmm.
risk officer, what matters to me? Okay. So, can as a risk officer, can I get an integrated view and I can look at and say that, okay, this is where risks are happening. Whereas if I get a retrospective view, so if we look at what happens in the board meetings and board reviews, people would say, okay, this happened. Now, when it has happened, it is all retrospective actions you can talk about. You can plug the holes, you can remove things out, you can strengthen it out, but it is not a real-time view. So currently, if we talk about having an integrated view, something, excuse me, which can give me a real-time view as well. The idea about the CRO and the board would be to know when things happen. So if you remember recently, Apple actually looked at, they allege that OpenAI, they had one employee who actually moved out to OpenAI, and they came to know about things that after 10 months that their data was being stolen because the employee, ex-employee, actually took the laptop with him, and they removed the credentials and all. But look at what the audit findings had. It found out that that particular alleged, so it's alleged. So OpenAI doesn't agree with it because I'm speaking on a platform. But the issue is here that they found out after 10 months that this thing, the breach happened. So the audit actually happened after 10 months, right? So look at, if we were doing it continuously and there's an integrated platform, things can be visible, these things can be captured in real time, right? So if we talk about from a CRO perspective, one is that if, first of all, the real time information comes, so the conversation becomes forward looking rather than backward. Second is defensibility. If a regulator says that when did this happen, it says that this happened today or it has happened now rather than 10 months away, right? Second, I don't want to do it only for regulatory purpose or compliance purposes. I can use that for basically using it for business activities. If this is a risk, can I use that as an opportunity and grow my business, right? And third is credibility, right? So what happens this morning in the boardroom is not when did it happen? It says that did it happen today? That's the kind of conversation and the efficiency that a CRO can bring in with an integrated real-time platform where AI agents can help, right?
Absolutely. Well said. Thank you, Adi. I think, yeah, it truly gives us a better perspective if we have data real time, and even more beneficial if we can have some predictive analysis as well. So coming back to you, Prabhu, you mentioned AI agents in GRC, or if I can call it IRM now. There's a lot of hype. Everybody knows it. We're hearing AI, and ServiceNow has especially been very vocal about their AI agents. Every other vendor is also putting AI in their brochure, as we already know. Cut through it all for us. Can I ask you to genuinely tell me what the difference is between a traditional rules engine and an actual AI agent in ServiceNow? So, Prabhu, I'm going to coming back to you for that answer.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks, Meghna. So yes, as we heard from all of the vendors, all of the providers, that everyone is bringing AI, right? And all of like in the similar fashion, ServiceNow is also, and if you see all the reports from the Gartner and IDC and everywhere, ServiceNow is the leader in the leader quadrant at this moment in the AI journey for the customers. Yeah, you name it, for your compliance, you name it, for the risk assessment, a lot of AI agent has been introduced by ServiceNow. What is the difference between the rule based and then what we called AI based uh, agents, right? How it will be useful? So if we consider before this how the rule base happens, so it's most of the time the manual process where you do the risk identification based on certain rules, or not everything, all of the risk can be identified based on the rules. So people used to do their job using the manual way, identifying the risks, internal or external, through what are there for their vendors, or what is available on the different websites. And then first thing, capturing those, and as Adi gave in one of the good example, right, where Apple identify after 10 months that this is something is happening, right? So this is very important for all of us to understand. Risk assessment and risk management cannot be a reactive job anymore, because AI is really bringing in a big help to the organization. At the same time, it is bringing a big risk as well, which you need to be ready to be ready with your process, with your tool, that you can quickly identify the risk if there is anything, and start working on it right now rather than reactively after 6 months, because till that time you already have that risk converted into issue, and you already lost your maybe your intellectual properties, your customer data or your employee data, which is one of the biggest risks at this moment in the market. Yeah.
So you're
And that's
telling me
why
the
it is
AI,
important
I'm sorry, yeah, go
that
on.
that's why it is important, right? Rather than really going through a traditional way of doing the risk management, you need to really now shift to the AI based risk assessment.
So is this agent watching me continuously? I mean, and well, before I cross the line, I mean, I think the AI will probably watch and catch it in time. So fair line, Prabhu. But I want to go a little level deeper. And I know you're particularly close to this because I think when we were discussing about the webinar and preparing for this, you mentioned about it, and I want to come back to that question about the AI control tower. And I suspect many people who are, watching or have heard the term have not understood it very well. So I'm going to come to you because it particularly matters for IRM. Can you explain to us, all of us, what the AI control tower actually is, how it connects to IRM, and particularly for organizations which are deploying AI across their businesses right now? Who are suddenly realizing that AI itself can become a governance problem. Am I making sense to you? Because you
No,
briefly
no, no.
mentioned about this. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So AI control tower is the new technology what ServiceNow is bringing in, the new module, right? And it's important to know that IRM and AI control tower are natively connected throughout the ServiceNow platform. And it really
Mhm.
provides a safe, automated, and compliant deployment of your AI assets into your organization. So consider that one of the example nowadays, Copilot, right, in the Microsoft. We a lot
Mhm.
of organizations have a co-pilot, and then they are using their employees are using, and they're creating their own AI agents, but how to track them, right? And that's what AI control tower. And I would say if we go into AI control tower, we will miss the opportunity to talk about IRM more, right? So I will not go much in detail. Maybe that is something a next webinar topic we can think about. But just think about AI control tower is the a tool which can help you to govern your AI assets, and IRM then will help you to do the risk assessment of those AI assets. So you know what
Okay.
AI assets are available in your organization using AICT, and how we can govern them by doing the risk assessment. That is something fall into the IRM.
Totally, totally. And since you did mention about the platform architecture, I mean, that's a point worth sitting over with Prabhu. And I agree with you. I will seek your time again to talk more about the AI control tower. But, having like both in one platform is not a small thing. So help us understand the ServiceNow IRM platform architecture, how it's, how this platform helps just in simple ways as an architect, a person who's mastered this.
Yeah, thanks. So again, as you can see, right, you might have noticed that AI layer is really not an add-on anymore. It literally sits at the top of the platform. Yeah, from ServiceNow perspective, ServiceNow is really focusing on how AI can help, what they always say, right? ServiceNow works and makes it better for your customers, right? And that's what, to make your work life better, ServiceNow brings all the AI capabilities which are available in the market at your disposal in the organization. So AI
Mhm.
risk agent, as we already spoke about it, right? It continuously monitor enterprise risk. It can help you to detect the emerging threats automatically, so no need to do the manual work. And then correlation information for multiple systems, so it can track all the different sources, bring the risk together, and do it at a one single source, as or one single record in your ServiceNow environment, where you can see this risk has been raised at multiple platform. So instead of waiting a quarterly risk review, this AI agent can really help you to detect unusual vendor activities, or if there is any control failure, and that is happening immediately right at the time. Yeah. Now Assist, the another Gen AI capability from ServiceNow, which can help all of your employees to, let's say, generate risk summaries. It can help you to create the policy drafts, suggest remediation tasks. So as a risk manager, you can simply ask, show me what are my top 5 operation risks impacting, let's say, GCC, right? And it receives an executive summary instantly. That's what the power of Now Assist on the platform. Then we have a predictive analytics, knowledge AI, continuous control monitoring. All these AI flavors are bringing really help to all the risk teams, risk managers, and also CROs as well. Yeah, they can help. They can take the help from all these AI components, and really it helps them to manage their core IRM module. I would say, when we say core IRM, just if you can just stay back one more minute for that slide. Yeah, so core IRM module, when we talk, so IRM, as we said, right, it's integrated risk management. So it comes for business continuity management, corporate compliance, enterprise risk management, be it as a third party risk management, as Adi mentioned, for the vendors and all, internal audits if there are any audit happening, and also ESG management, one of the hot topic in the market, my carbon
True.
footprint, right? How I can save my
Absolutely.
carbon footprint, that is also really important for the organization. So IRM as a package can bring you all these components at one place onto the platform, which can really give you. So initially, when we spoke about people, process, and tools, right? So this is the right tool which can help you to set up your best process, which can guide your people really in a great way. That's what I can say about the IRM module on the ServiceNow platform.
Absolutely. I think the future belongs to risk teams who embrace AI. I mean, probably they will leapfrog teams who don't. I hope I'm right. Is that a very marketing language? Or what do you say, Adi? Do you believe this gap is opening up here?
Sorry, say that again. I missed it actually.
I'm saying the future belongs to risk teams who embrace AI. Probably they will leapfrog the teams who do not embrace AI. As a leader, I was going to ask you whether you think this is a very marketing language, or do you genuinely believe the gap is opening up here? This is something I just thought I'll bring your perspective before I go back to Gaurav and Prabhu.
Yeah, so look, it's both. So when we talk about a lot of AI and a lot of these things, we sound that it's marketing. But from our perspective, what we have seen is that yes, this is understated. Okay, so the gap is real. What happens is the sooner we realize that this has to be done, the better we are. So look, if we talk about maybe, and you asked me earlier as well, that if you have a situation and you want to bring in a new tool, the delay is that as soon as you start using the tool, it's okay. But with AI, the things become little different. So when you bring some AI and you basically start using it over a period of time on your own data, on your own context, there is something which is called as learning. Every AI model basically has something which you have to make sure that any risk that occurs, anything that happens, your AI model has to learn and help you. So any delays, anybody who's saying that, okay, I want to do it later and they don't want to do it now, are basically risking the opportunity of not letting their AI agents learn now. The delay would be substantial. Okay. So if we
True,
talk about
absolutely.
is it only marketing jargon, I would say it is understated. The risk lies even further down. If we have to make sure that it actually gets absorbed, it gets embraced to the highest level. It's not about basically just using it, but redesigning, making sure that, as what Prabhu was talking about, having an integrated platform, using that information for your own use, and then training it to extend it for real-time insights, and using it for even business growth. So the problem statement is actually very big, if you ask me.
I go back to you, Prabhu, and to Gaurav, if you can help us understand the ServiceNow IRM platform in a more better way. I know time is catching up. There's so much to learn today. So I go back to you. Please help us understand it in a more clearer fashion. Prabhu, Gaurav, over to you.
Yeah, so IRM, as I said, right, and it's important what Adi also mentioned, that how it can help to our customers to bring all the aspects, because a lot of customers are doing all these tasks. Of course, every company might be doing these tasks, but they are doing it in silos, right? How IRM can help them, it can bring it at one place, which can help them really to know how they can use all these different activities and all these different components at one platform. what IRM can bring, it can help you to have a centralized data model, which will again, what are my vendors, what are the risks associated with them. If I need to do any business continuity management, which vendors I need to bring in light. If there is any audit happening, towards which vendor I need to route that finding, if there is anything, right? Also, it help you to automate the control monitoring using the AI layer. Real time visibility, as we said, AI can bring you really a real time visibility onto your risks, what you can have for your vendors in your organization, for your entities, all regulatory tracking, mostly how you can track all your regulatory needs and make you audit ready. Yeah, that's more important to understand. There are a lot of time what happens, there are audit happens, but we don't know at that time how to respond to those audits. So it really help you to be ready for your audit.
Absolutely. Anisha, could you show the next slide?
I think we spoke about the
Yes.
IRM, right, and the AI
Yes.
agent as well. So maybe in the best interest of time, let's keep this now assist also. We spoke about it. And if
Super.
again, if anyone have any specific question, feel free to drop in our chat box.
Yes.
We will come back to you, yeah, with the answers.
So, Gaurav, I'm coming to you now. What does, let's say, a risk manager's week look like before a AI risk identification agent? What does it really look like after? Could you help us understand this transformation? Gaurav, over to you.
Yes. So as Prabhu has already explained in detail, like how AI and the AI insights are, helping us in doing the a well-defined risk assessment and management, right? So if we'll talk about how we are moving from, before and after scenarios, before using, AI and the AI agents, and after using the AI insights. So, for example, when we are, into traditional approach, so how it works basically, it is, some workshops getting conducted. There are, the questionnaires, emails got exchanged between different, teams. Then, uh, security, IT, compliance, the audit. So different teams will work on, a set of activity and task, which is time consuming, right, to do the actual risk assessment. And there could be, multiple type of risks. So let's say the risk could be of data privacy, cyber security, operational, or or regulatory compliance risk, or audit related, right? So how AI will help? Basically, AI has all, once AI and the workflows accordingly has been, implemented into your system. So it has all access to your, data, because data already exists in your platform, right? So whether it's CMDB, SecOps, IRM, GRC, vendor risk management, we can say, ITSM, audit, compliance. So it has access to all your data. So what it will do basically, instead of, keeping the circle, limited, it will, cover all areas basically to, maximum extent, which we talked about, right? So that will, result in, a less time, and, saver efforts, and at the same time we are covering more and more areas compared to the traditional approach. So that's
This
what AI agents are helping us.
This really looks very good to be true, but I want to know if in real life, what are the real case studies? If you can share some case studies with us, that I'm sure the audience and me and everybody will, it'll be more believable, and we can see the benefits and the outcomes of implementation in real time. So I would come back to you again, Gaurav. Prabhu. Please, if you can share some client case studies with us and what has been achieved with ServiceNow IRM.
Yeah,
Prabhu.
if you can just go to the next slide, we are, yeah, covering. Yeah, Gaurav, you want to start? Ah, okay. Anyways, then I can maybe quickly jump on this, right? So this is one of the case study what using IRM, how one of the major US bank has transformed their risk assessment, right, in on the platform. So what were the challenge they were facing? Like they had 36 overlapping and redundant vendor
Hello.
assessment forms, which
Yes.
were available, and again
Jitin?
on an annual basis they used to go through it.
Jitin, you sent me a message that I have to
Yeah, okay, sorry. Then there was like custom legacy linear scoring model, and a lot of this process happening manual, and as we already highlighted, right, that after a year they used to do the risk assessment for the vendors, and sometimes it was uh, identified that okay, so one of their customer has some already a issue happened which impacted them as well for last 6 months, 8 months, something like that. So they come up to us asking, okay, how we can help using ServiceNow to mitigate these problems and challenges. With this For this solution, what we did, we come up with the IRM module for them, which helped them to do their risk assessment using the TPRM for the third party risk vendors. We converted their 36 overlapping forms into 5, and how we did it using the smart assessment engine what ServiceNow had it. Yeah, so smart assessment engine is something which can help our customers to do the risk assessment using certain components where you can set up certain templates, and it really automate your process, so you don't really do need to do it manually. It tracks the data, it then saves this information, so that next time whenever you will do the assessment, you don't need to start from zero. You can take the last assessment whatever you have done, and you can evaluate the same assessment again, add certain new policies. If there are new policies added, all those policies automatically get added to your assessment as well. Yeah, then
Wow.
100% central TPRM risk ownership, so we can identify, once the risk is identified, it get automatically identified who is the owner, what team, what department it is responsible for, to which vendor or to which entity this risk belongs to. And it really helped them to reduce their manual vendor assessment efforts by 75%, which was really a drastic help for them, and
Absolutely.
drastic change in the effort what they were spending on this.
I'm very interested in the line which is mentioned below. It says that an outcome no previous vendor had achieved. So, Adi, what do you think the client, why was the client forced to say this line? Do you want to say what Avante now did differently?
Yes. So look, the way that it has happened is obviously the overall solution is basically how do you redesign it? Okay. So outcome base is basically if you, and that is where in fact, I'm answering one of the questions which probably Shikha has asked. What is the single biggest mistake you see organizations make when starting a GRC transformation? It actually ties, your question actually ties to that as well. So when you talk about basically this thing, you have, if you have an existing process, let's say that you have 36 overlapping things, you have so many assessment forms and you keep on using it, actually it doesn't add to the outcome. So, and that is the biggest mistake as well. So the outcome is about how do you basically generate some insights which are valuable, which are real time. So the process design, redesign, and then applying the AI layer, the data consolidation is what generates these outcomes. So obviously, whatever their previous vendor was thinking about was basically utilizing what existed. What we did as an organization was to reassess, redesign, and then apply the latest over the top. And that helped. And maybe Shikha, that is what is the single biggest mistake that organizations do. They don't want to redesign things and they just want to basically consume what was there and then apply an AI layer. That doesn't help.
So, Adi, help us understand then why Avante now over any other vendor or a traditional system integrators? How differently does Avante now do their work that the client is forced to say that no one other vendor could have achieved this?
Okay, that's also something that I would like to highlight, that it's also, if you talk about again the way that we approach and look at the things that has happened. If you only think about getting GRC implemented or TPRM implemented, and that is basically what also Prabhu was saying, we're talking about an integrated risk management platform. It's not only about basically the platform and the components in it, but it also is something which an organization like ours brings in, because the value is not only about GRC and IRM. The value lies in how you understand the platform. And maybe I am basically addressing one of those questions which Renu has asked, that basically any use case that you can think about combining ham pro or GRC. Now this is exactly what an organization like Avante now can bring in, because that knowledge about the other modules and the other platform and then combining them and generating some outcome. So HAMPRO is basically hardware asset management. We also know that the companies, when they're going for GRC and IRM implementation, would have CMDBs there. So the classic problem that Apple had, HAMPRO, if implemented in conjunction with the GRC or IRM platform, would solve that. Because any hardware asset, basically when it goes out of life or when it gets de-aligned or when you basically have an employee leaving, it would immediately flag that this asset was assigned to somebody. Or for example, auto discoveries. When you talk about CMDB, when basically CMDB is there and we are trying to integrate that with your monitoring tools and your discoveries and all, any kind of request which basically is trying to download things out, you would get notified. So this is again something a connected mindset and an architectural mindset would actually bring in. So from an AvantNow approach, we believe in bringing the best platform-led initiatives, transformational initiatives, resulting into outcome, enabling AI layers. Plus, what we do is, can we basically give you value in 90 days? So it has to be something which people can consume. So we can create a transformation which is basically spreading 9 months, 10 months. But can you start consuming things out in 3 months? Can you do it in next 45 days? Right. And that is where, when you talk about a pure play, Avante now being pure play ServiceNow organization, and we have expertise in all these modules. And as I talked about, whether it is the classic IRM modules, whether it is TPRM, third party risk management, integrated risk management, governance risk compliance, business continuity management, or for example, bringing in CMDB, ITOM, or HAMPRO, all of that basically brings the value which probably organizations cannot think about. Our expertise in this, our people in it, and the kind of people like Prabhu, who is a platform architect who not only understands IRM but understands the entire platform. Or for example, Gaurav, who understands not only the platform but also the AI layer, the AI control tower behind it. Amazing. So that's where, if you look at about bringing in that AI agents, control monitoring, continuous monitoring, plus we can bring in KPI-led executive reviews, and we can actually guarantee benefits. That this is your baseline, this is what is basically your target, this is fully auditable, all of that can be achieved. So I don't know, I
We are
spoke a lot,
almost
but
we are
you
almost
gave me
at
an
time.
opportunity about highlighting ourselves. So this is what I covered as well.
Right. That line stayed with me. But before we close, I know there are a few questions here. Before people want to drop off, because I understand that it's 1 hour of your time that I'd asked, there are some questions which we can take. If the panelists are okay to extend for a couple of more minutes, we can take a few questions. But before people drop off for whatever other commitments they might have, I want to thank everybody who joined today. We are offering a complimentary GRC assessment. It's a baseline review for your current posture and control gaps, and it's going to be an AI assessment, readiness questionnaire. So scan this QR code and send us your details, and one of our team members will get in touch with you. This is completely complimentary for all those people who have registered for the webinar. So please make sure you take up this opportunity, and we will be, sharing. If the questions have been remaining unanswered, our team members will get back to you and answer them on email, if that's okay. And if you want to stay here and our panelists are okay, we can maybe take two questions. If Prabhu and Gaurav, Adi are okay, maybe we can take two questions. I know Adi already answered one,
No,
but
I also answered the ham as well, Rajni's question.
right.
And I think
Okay.
Prabhu has also given answers to Sakshi and I think Rohan as well. Yeah.
Oh,
So in the
great.
comment
So
itself, I see there is something. But if there are any
brilliant.
questions that we need to take, I'm more than happy. If you have
Right.
time.
Somebody is saying they run SAP and Microsoft 365, and our security team has its own SIEM. Does ServiceNow IRM replace those, or they sit alongside them? Prabhu,
Yeah,
you want to answer that? Yeah,
Yeah, I already mentioned in the chat as well. So
you did.
it's not necessary that you need to really move everything onto ServiceNow, right? What ServiceNow, and that's, I would say that's the best strength of ServiceNow, that it can sit in parallel of any of your tools, what you have. Why ServiceNow need to be there? I would say, if we talk about, and that is one of the answer in the question itself, that we have SAP and Microsoft for the CM. That means you have the silos for even two vendors in your organization, right? SAP team doing the risk assessment on SAP maybe, and Microsoft team doing something on the Microsoft side. which are working in silos. There is no integrated view for that, and that's what a difference can ServiceNow bring in, where it can combine. You can bring, don't need to make ServiceNow as a source of truth. You can bring the data onto ServiceNow. Being a one data model platform, ServiceNow can really help you to make everything available on one platform and break the silos what you have in the organization.
Super. I think this has been a very insightful session. I learned a lot, and I'm sure the audiences, I can understand from the question they have asked. So thank you, Adi. Thank you, Gaurav. Thank you, Prabhu, for such, for your generosity to share the insights. And to all the audiences, all the participants who joined and genuinely asked some sharp questions. Thank you, everybody. You will get the recording. You will be getting these slides and also the assessment details by email. So you can even register on that. If you haven't reached out, if any of the questions have been missed, I'll come back to you on email. So I'll leave you where we started. In risk, the advantage now belongs to whoever sees it first. So let the agent find it first. So thank you all and take care and see you.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Bye,
you.
guys.
Thanks,
Bye.
everyone.
Thank you.